Well, for more on this, we now cross live to our reporter, Jack Parrock in Caracas, Venezuela. Welcome to you, Jack. What about these claims? She's saying it's an attempt at a coup, that the will of the people is not being heard. Is there any basis for that?
Well, in the constitution of Brazil, indeed, she can be impeached in this way. The lower house of the parliament basically put this through far more unanimously than the Senate did, but 55 senators out of 88 have now said that they insist on this impeachment trial. So it is constitutional, but it's also very difficult because obviously it's not the people that have gone out and voted against her in a referendum. We're seeing in Venezuela, in fact, something like that, a push by the opposition for a referendum to try to bring down the socialist government. But in Brazil, it's happened through the lawmakers within the Senate and the Parliament.
Do we know how the public feel about her and her successor now bringing in a completely different government, a different stance, Michel Temer?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty, obviously, at the moment, but Dilma Rousseff still has a lot of support in Brazil. She is not a necessarily unpopular leader. She has had major criticism over this budget deficit rigging scandal, these allegations that have been put against her. But there are still many people in Brazil who support her and her leftist government. In fact, we're hearing here in Caracas in Venezuela there might be a demonstration later today stand up in support of her. There are a lot of leftist governments across Latin America who will see this impeachment as a concern for their positions as well. They don't like to see these kind of leaders deposed, and it could be they're worried about some kind of domino effect as well, potentially.
And some are saying she's being blamed for what's happening with the economy contracting, inflation at this incredible high. That could be two mistakes, but it's not an impeachable offence, the way she's conducted the management of the economy. Do you agree?
Well, the thing is that while this economic crisis is going on in Brazil, this 3.8% recession last year, there's been this now the scandal of the budget deficit rigging. So although, yeah, seeing your economy shrink isn't an impeachable offence, the fact that the crime that she's accused of is linked to that economic downturn, it improves and it enhances the sense of disservice of those that are opposed to her, and has led to this really powerful call for this impeachment trial to happen. But bearing in mind this isn't a direct impeachment, she still now has to go through a trial, and she could indeed be cleared of these charges. What would happen then would be very difficult to try to dissect. At this point, it would probably put Brazil into some kind of political turmoil that could really affect the country for a long time.
Jack, stay with us. I just want to bring in somebody else's voice, because we are in a coalition of sorts with Brazil in the BRICS grouping of nations, emerging markets that wanted to do it for themselves. Now, the ANC Secretary General, Gwede Mantashe, has said that he's worried about what will happen to BRICS. Let's hear what he said earlier.
The destabilization of the BRICS country, which is very clear and glaring, except India, which is governed by a right-wing party. All the others are destabilized one way or the other. And they came to this thing and they say, I want to quote them, is that regime change is increasingly widespread Western practice of overthrowing legitimate political authorities by provoking internal instability and conflict against governments that are considered inconvenient or insubordinate to their interests, replacing them with pliant puppet regimes